Tuesday, Disney employees plan to put their discontent on full display, planning to walk out in protest of Florida's Don't Say Gay bill, or so it's called, which Governor Ron DeSantis hasn't signed yet, but is expected to. This bill essentially bans schools from discussing gender issues with children. Disney CEO Bob Chapek initially refused to release an official statement on the bill until last week. Many cast members have been doing mini walkouts every day during their breaks. This will be a much bigger walkout Tuesday. However, Disney hosting a town hall today to try to quell some of this anger internally. Rich, Disney's now holding this meeting today to try to cut some of the tension here. What do you make of the fact that Disney employees have been so vocal about their unhappiness with how Disney CEO Bob Chapek has handled this?
Look, we've seen a lot of voicing of feelings among employees over the course of the last couple of years. I mean, if you think about sort of the furloughing of employees and sort of the layoffs that occurred around the pandemic, I mean, this has been a very difficult couple of year period for all consumers or all employees around the world, but certainly for Disney employees, this has been especially challenging. Look, I think the reality is executives and management teams are going to make mistakes. I think the real hallmark of long-term success is whether they recognize those mistakes and pivot quickly. And I think that's what you're seeing here by Disney is pretty rapid change. You know, this is not letting this drag on and sort of addressing the issue very quickly. I can't speak to why the original decision was made and what the logic was, but I think it is comforting that the speed of changing their minds was swift, because I think that's what really matters. And again, Disney's at this really critical crossroads. As Iger has left at the end of last year and now Chapek is in full control, I think we're all waiting to see who is Bob Chapek? What is his long-term Disney plan? And I guess to your question, Emily, will we get to see it? Because he's got a year left on his contract. Will we get to see Chapek really put in motion his long-term plan?
Well, and I guess I wonder what your answer to that question is. Are these staffers upset enough that this should give Bob Chapek some serious concerns about his job?
Look, I think he must have heard loud and clear how broad-based the fear was or concern was around this issue for them to reverse course so publicly, so quickly, not to mention the internal meetings and everything that you've seen. But look, Bob Chapek's long-term future is going to be most likely judged on the big strategic decisions he makes. What is their plan for Disney Plus? Is it being merged with Hulu? Are they creating one service and really going after Netflix and trying to become a massive streaming company? Are they really going to focus on just Disney content? Might they sell ESPN and ABC? Like, why are they in the sports business? You know, sports is not a business that you can scale. You can't own the content. You know, the NFL owns the NFL, not Disney. You know, if you think about the UFC, which has been the biggest piece of ESPN Plus, that's owned by Endeavor, EDR, public company. So you sort of get back to like, why is Disney in some of these businesses and what is this long-term strategy? There is no doubt Bob Iger set in motion a tremendous, ramp in Disney Plus subscribers. But as you look at where we are now and look out over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, the question is what does Disney want to be when it grows up in streaming? Does it want to be something for everyone like Netflix? Or does it really want to stick to its core franchises and verticals, which is probably a smaller, but also very successful and very profitable business if you scaled that?
What do you make of the Iger side of this story? The fact that Iger doesn't agree with this position that Chapek initially took, that they reportedly no longer talk, Iger and Chapek. I mean, the speculation going so far, some saying Iger could replace Bob Chapek, which I believe Bob Iger has said that's ridiculous. But we're in a rapidly evolving situation here.
Look, this has been a relatively challenging, couple of years, I think, for any executive going through the pandemic. A lot of layoffs, a lot of change, closing down operations. I mean, look, even I think Shanghai Disney World just closed down again just today, I believe. So this is sort of a never-ending saga that impacts employees and it creates a lot of emotion. We're obviously living in a social media world where people can express their views about how they feel very visibly. look, in terms of Iger versus Chapek, I don't really know what to say other than, Bob Iger's gone. Chapek is now in charge. And the question is going to be, I don't think what Bob Iger feels or doesn't feel anymore matters. I think what really matters is, what does the board think? And what do shareholders think? At the end of the day, the stock obviously is down a lot. Investors are concerned that they don't really understand what the strategy is. Are they going after Netflix, or is this more of a Disney-focused service? I mean, Disney's effectively been dragging its feet on Hulu. Comcast owns a third of it. What is the Hulu plan? Is it all about being rolled in and creating one mega service, or are they going to continue to run 3 streaming services? Remember, there's Disney Plus, there's Hulu, and there's ESPN Plus. It seems from a consumer standpoint, having multiple logins, multiple different interfaces seems suboptimal. Obviously, part of that is Comcast's fault in sort of battling over price. But if you think about what Iger did when he came in, he made a very important strategic decision that shaped the entire future of his run as CEO. He bought Pixar. And that was a tremendous acquisition that completely changed how investors thought about the Walt Disney Company and the content and the IP, and the rest is obviously history. The question for Chapek is, do you keep ESPN? Do you keep ABC? Do you want to be in this general entertainment business? Do you merge Hulu in with Disney Plus? Do you keep ESPN Plus? Like, all of these are these big strategic decisions. I think we're going to get a lot of answers about all of this over the course of the next 9 months. But I think the stock is somewhat struggling. I think we're struggling with the stock, not knowing exactly what Chapek's going to do.
So we'll be seeing just how big this walkout from employees is Tuesday. But do you think this blowback could spread to consumers? Obviously, there's been some discontent with the Genie reservation system, the sky-high pricing of the Star Wars hotel. Could consumers revolt?
Look, my partner, Brandon Ross at Lightshed, covers the live entertainment business. I think you and Michael Rapino's been talking pretty openly with Live Nation about just the incredible demand for concert tickets, even with rising, gas prices. I mean, you've just seen incredible demand for experiences. Disney World is literally packed to the gills. Margins are moving to levels we haven't seen in years, if ever, eventually. And so, look, there's always risk. I think if Disney probably hadn't reversed course and sort of addressed the concerns of employees very quickly, sure, I think anything was possible. I think the real issue is going to be right now, they're raising pricing and taking advantage of this environment. I mean, inflation's obviously rising, and I think they're literally looking at demand. They can't keep the parks. They can't handle the demand. And I think that's partly why they're taking advantage and raising price. But investors, they're not worried, Emily, about the parks. Investors have one concern. They're only worried about Disney Plus and what is the streaming long-term strategy. And that's what we're going to be hoping to hear from Chapek when he holds an analyst meeting later this month.